cyber came from the field or came from the technology called cybernetics. Okay, so what is meant by cybernetics is that the field of experimenting about the electronic devices and electronic communication. Okay, so we are going to have the electronic devices that may be a computers or anything else, laptops or mobile devices, and the electronic communication is going to happen. So that is going to be called as cybernetics. Okay, actually cyber we can define in another way that, so the electronic devices are communicated digitally and electronically. That is called as cyber. Okay. Next comes cyberspace. So cyberspace is an electronic area. Okay. So wherein which the electronic devices and the networks are grouped together to form a cyberspace. So cyberspace is going to deal with the electronic devices and the networks which is formed with the combination of all these devices, so that it can go for communicating digitally and electronically. So that is called a cyberspace. So all forms of digital or electronic activities that is going to happen. Okay, so what is meant by electronic activities? So the thing is that we can go with the example. So electronic activities being performed, that is tower. We can take the tower that is sending the signals electronically from one place to another, or we can take any electronic devices such as routers, switches, anything else which connects the one network to another network. Okay, so the signals will be passing through routers. So all these are electronically transferred. The signals are electronically transferred. So coming on to the next, the activities conducted through a digital network. So what activity? That is, we can take it as an example for banking activities or the virtual meetings. So that we are conducting as similar to like kind of meetings. So these are the activities that can be conducted over the digital networks. Okay, and next comes the content. So what are the informations that can be accessed via the digital networks? So all forms of electronic activities and the activities can be conducted through digital networks, and the content can be shared or accessed via the digital networks. So all these comprises the cyberspace. So that is called cyberspace. So in other words, we can define the cyberspace as an area, that is electronic area or the domain. So wherein which we can go for sharing the contents or resources, where we can also access the contents over digital network. That is called as cyberspace. Okay. So next we are going to see the what is meant by cyber security. Next slide. Okay. So in the before slide we have seen what is meant by cyberspace. So providing protection to the cyberspace is called as cyber security. So already we have seen what is meant by cyberspace is that it's a electronic area wherein which you can go for accessing any resources, or we can share the resources or content in a digital manner within a network area. That is called cyberspace. Okay, so from where you have to protect, from whom you are going to protect or secure. So it is necessary to secure all the cyberspace from the unauthorized users. So who is unauthorized users? That is unknown users. So protecting from the unauthorized users and also protecting from the harmful to the particular resources. That is called as cyber security. So protection of cyberspace from unauthorized users or any harmful to the particular resources. That is called as cyber security. So it can be defined as a practice of defending the electronic devices. So defending in the sense protect from the harmful activities or protect from the danger. Likewise, we can say the definition for defending. So the practice of defending the n number of electronic devices such as computers, laptops, anything else, and datas, electronic devices, datas, and networks. So you are going to defend all these such kinds of resources, electronic devices, and data by using the practice of defending or mechanism from the malicious attacks. That is called as cyber security. So you are going to protect some uh, uh, secured, protecting some confidential informations or securing the cyberspace, or you can say it is electronic devices and networks from the malicious attacks. What is called malicious attacks, or we can say it as unknown attacks or vulnerable attacks. So malicious attacks means someone who is intended to do some illegal activities. Okay, so they'll be penetrating into the someone's computers, or they'll be spreading the viruses or phishing activities. So likewise, these are called as malicious attacks. So cyber security means, so it is the practice of defending some electronic devices such as computers, servers, mobile devices, and electronic systems, networks, and data from the malicious attack is called as cyber security. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we are going to see the importance. What is the importance of cyber security? So the first importance, next slide. So the first importance is going to be highest paying jobs. So cyber security is one of the best highest paying job can have this. So the demand is increasing, doubling and tripling every year. So because of the threats also increasing every day or every year. Okay, so among the top 5 highest paying jobs, we can say cyber security profession is it's demanded everywhere. Okay, so a link is given here. You can see this http://www.indeed.com salaries. So if you go on clicking this link, so it will be providing some cyber security professions. So there may be so many designations are available. The designations related to cyber security may be network engineer, security engineer, IT security, network security engineer, information security analyst, social analyst. So these are some of the professions related to the cyber security. So after this session, you can kindly go and visit this. So there they have mentioned that, so for every hour or per year, they have fixed some high salaries for the particular cyber security professions. So there's a great demand for this cyber security job. Okay, next slide. Okay, so coming on to the top 10 paying certifications in 2020. So there are 10 are listed here. Okay, so these are all the professional certifications has been listed here. So if you get certifications, you will get a good career in this, in cyber security. Okay, so among 10, around 4 certifications is from the cyber security. So that among 4, the first leading is number 1 is listed here, is given to cyber security certification only. So that is Certified Information System Security Professional, that is CISSP. Okay, so next one, 6th one, Certified in Risk and Information System Control, that is CRISC. And 7th one, that is Certified Information Security Manager, that is CISM. And 9th one, Certified Ethical Hacker. So all these 4 are related with the cyber security. Okay, so if you get certification, you will be in a high paying jobs. That's very important also. Okay, so even Cisco is also providing certification. So everyone needs to get settled in a good position also. That is main aim also. So you can go on doing this certification for your for getting a good job and settled in a well placed. Okay, next slide. So first importance, we have seen that high paying jobs. Okay, that's a great demand for the cyber security. Second importance is that the data privacy and the user's privacy. That is what we call that you and me. There is you and the data. Okay, so it all referring to the data's privacy, whatever the data is used by the users. So privacy regarding the data as well as the user privacy. Okay, so what is happening is that whenever the attackers are going to attack our electronic devices or our systems, their the main target of the attackers will be attackers, or they may be called as hackers. Okay, their main aim is to steal our identity. Okay, so the identity can be classified into two areas. So one is called as online identity, and the other one is called as offline identity. Okay, so offline identity is what it is being used in schools, homes, friend circle, among the friend circle, whatever identity has been used for yourself. Okay, so here you can see the following data are listed here in this picture: your identity details and education data and financial data. So financial data means your bank account details, your credit card numbers, PAN card details, Aadhaar card number, all these are financial details. So you are giving these details on the net. Okay, and education details, whatever the data that is related to education, then medical data, then employment details. So wherever you go for the young, they'll be giving their resumes, they'll be posting some resumes onto the employment websites, Naukri, etc., etc. Okay, so you are providing your own identity or your own data on the net. Okay, so that should be preserved, or you need some data privacy. Okay, so all these offline identities are mostly used on the personal space. Okay, so coming on to the online identity. Online identity means you are giving your username, password, that are all login credentials to the whenever you go for any visiting your websites, you need to give all these such kinds of credentials. Okay, so these online identities are mostly used on the cyber space. So offline identity will be mostly used on the personal space, and online identity will be used on the cyberspace. Okay, so mostly the attackers will be targeting our online identity only. Whatever you are providing on the net, the attackers will be very target about that. Especially the login credentials, username and password, bank account details, credit card numbers, PAN card numbers, Aadhaar card numbers. Okay, so these are the target of each and every hackers or attackers when they are getting into a cyberspace. Okay, okay, you can see in the slide TikTok across on it. Okay, have you noticed? Okay, so coming on to that point, so most of the students have bad mood today. So why? Because TikTok has been banned from India. As I hope so, you all know this. Okay, so I think many of us very much worried about ban process of this TikTok. Okay, so what is the reason behind it? Why the Indian government has banned TikTok app? So the reason is that around 62 apps have been banned. So why it has been banned? Why the government has taken such a kind of stringent action against these kind of Chinese apps? So TikTok are all belong to Chinese apps. Okay, So what is the main problem here? The main thing is very important is privacy. Okay, that is users privacy or data privacy. Okay, so why? Because is all kinds of apps are sending the users identities outside India. Okay, uh, so the China's apps, they are getting our details and they are sending our details, that is users identity, outside India mostly. Okay, so this action was has been identified and monitored several years. So, but we are in now very crucial situation that a war cloud comes between China and India. Okay, so now it's the right time we have closed all these data. So even any one data from one person, it will give clues to other countries, army and all. Okay, so most of the users identity from India has been sent to Chinese address or Chinese servers. So our identity from India, it is moved on to the Chinese servers. So government has have traced all these such kinds of activities. So it is need of every citizen to block all these apps. Okay, so we have to support our government by avoiding all these kinds of apps. So why this ban has been influenced? So because of main thing is privacy. To protect our data and our privacy, government has decided to ban all these such kinds of Chinese apps. Okay. So privacy is nothing but stealing someone's or personal identity has been sent outside the India. That is most data has been sent to the Chinese servers. So government has traced all these and banned all the Chinese apps. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So now, where is your data? Coming on to this. So whatever the users will be providing some data to, for example, you can say they will be providing their data to the insurance agency or insurance company or anything. They'll be providing their data regarding their professions or employee data, job websites over there, Indeed.com, Naukri, LinkedIn. So all these are employment websites there, wherein which they can go for providing their own data. So where all these data are stored? So where it is stored and how it is maintained? So all such cases can be taken into serious account. Okay. So and also you'll be coming onto the Facebook. You all will be giving your personal details also. So imagine when you share the pictures or any images in social media. Okay, so anyone will have your pictures or images. So be careful when you share your pictures. They should not misuse it with a picture. Okay, so once got gone out of your hand, it is over. Okay, you are exposing your detail to the other people. Okay, so that your friends may have your copy, or your strangers, there is unknown people may also have the copy of your photos or images. Okay, so before posting your any photos on the Facebook or any media, you have to be very careful. Okay, that should not be, they should not misuse it. Okay, so how much secure the data is? So every websites, you are providing informations on the websites. So once the data is going out of your hand, it is their duty to secure all the data. So each and every organization will be handling their own standards and policies. Okay. So some organization will have the stringent policy. Some organization will be following a lenient policy. So if they leak our details, our personal identity or our details to someone, then your important data will be lost. Okay, so Google is best example. So each and every company is selling your profiles for their target advertisements. Okay, Google is doing such things. Okay, so medical records. So medical records or the record pertaining to a particular patient. So that will be maintained or secured or preserved in the hospital or doctor's office. Insurance company, that is insurance company is also maintaining all the medical records of every person. Okay, so how much is secured? How much security is provided? So we have to deal all with this. So there will be some organization will be selling the profiles for the target advertisements also. Okay, so if your computing devices is nowadays also exposed online, so you are providing details online, and you should be aware that how the data is preserved or how much security is given to the particular personal details of ours. That should be the thing second important to be noted. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the third importance of cyber security is organizational asset. So when coming to organization, the asset can be their daily using, they'll be using operational data and resources. So what is meant by operational data? Coming on to the banking example, you can the daily transactions can be called as a operations data. Okay, and whatever the resources dealt with our organization, they should all be preserved. It should be confidential, it should not be leaked outside. Okay, so all the thing is that trust should be maintained, goodwill and trust should be maintained. Okay, so you can classify the asset as two types. One is tangible asset and the other one is intangible assets. Okay, so what is intangible asset is that intangible hardwares or networks or hardware equipments, that is all called as intangible assets. Okay, tangible asset means related with the network resources. Okay, okay. So even organization may get rid of the operational data, some operations such as transaction data, billing, network and hardware resources, all these should be maintained or preserved. So take for example, if cyber attack happens on any organization, obviously what will happen? So assume that cyber attack is happens on any organization. So obviously what will break? The organization trust and goodwill will be break. So the trust on any organization may break. Okay, so every organization may recover from the operational data attacks or everything. They can recover from the attacks. They can recover network resources or whatever they have lost, they can recover it from the profits they gain. But the important thing is they have lost their trust. Okay, so the very well-known example that is in the year 2017, you might have heard this WannaCry ransomware attack. Okay, so this attack was held in Europe. The entire Europe have been attacked by this WannaCry ransomware attack. So what this happened means the country was struggled very much. Okay, so that is they were encrypting all the operational data in some other formats. So they have going for cracking the servers. Okay, so all such kinds of things have happened. There is encryption of all the operational data in some other formats, and they have cracked the servers also. Okay, so now company need to pay to the hackers to decrypt the file to get back their files, original files. So this is called ransomware attack that has been happened in Europe. So most of the organization have paid the billions of amount money to the hackers to recover their original data. So this has happened in the year 2017. So hackers, they will also go for blackmailing the organization, and so every organization will give the amount to recover the data. So I think you hope you might have come across this Ford company. So even Ford server has been affected or hacked. So all the details is about cars and sensor cars, and the cars can be remotely controlled. So all these such kinds of data has been hacked. So anyone can hack or can have the control over it. Okay. So what the thing is that the first thing, goodwill and trust have been broken. The organization trust and the goodwill has been broken. So you can go for some other example also. Imagine if a bank server has been hacked. So what security is provided? Think about the bank security. So there are a lot of policies over there. So you can go for get rid out of all these such monies, all these such kinds of things. So think that some bank server has been hacked. Then the people will, what they will think is that they will lose the trust or hope on the particular bank. This was happening. Okay, the trust will be broken. That will not rebuild again. So it is very important that every organization should be alert over the operational data and resources, that they are keeping all the resources, should be attack free. That's the main point here. Okay, next slide. Okay. So the next thing, every organization should be provided these three things. So the first one is confidentiality, second one availability, and the third one integrity. So every organization should follow these services. So these are the three important services need to be provided by every organization to the users. Okay, coming on to the confidentiality is all about dealing with encryption and authentication. So authentication means providing username and login credentials. Encryption, they will be going for using the encryption algorithms or private key and public key mechanisms. Okay, then coming on to integrity, so it all about dealing with accurate data. So what is the accurate data is provided, and the ensuring that the transmission, while transmission, the data should not be lost. That is called data integrity. So integrity is all about dealing with accurate and trustworthy of the transmission. Okay, and next comes the availability. So availability means make sure that the information is accessible whenever required, whenever needed. Okay, so whatever resources requested, it should be made available to the users in a promised time. So that is very important. So when the users are requesting, it should be made available in a fast manner or timely manner. Okay. So example, you can take it for an example, ATM. So 24 hours per bar 7. It's the service is available to the users. So suppose if you're taking bank, so banking is it won't be available for all the times, not available all times. So the time is limited. The service provided by the bank is limited. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. So next we'll move on to the next important importance, that is the fourth importance. Previous slide. Cyber war. Previous slide. Yes. Cyber war. You might have heard this word cyber war. So this is the biggest problem today. Okay. So you might have heard bio war, so which was already begins. So cyber war is so many. The thing is that the hackers are targeted the Indian server, that is financial server. So from the details from the Indian server will that has been transmitted to the Chinese server. So for that purpose only we have a ban. The government has taken steps to ban 66 Chinese apps. Okay. So here you can see this second example. There is Chinese hackers aggressive since Galvan clash, stealing the sensitive information from India. Okay, so this clipping, this example has been reported by a cyber research expert. That is from the cyber research expert group from the Singapore. So from the Singapore intelligence, the information is sent to our India. Okay, so they alerted our agencies regarding this attack. So what they are saying, 300% increased. The cyber attack was increased 300% increase in 1 week. So per week there was an increase in 300%. Cyber attack was been going on. So only we have the government has taken steps to block all these Chinese apps. Okay. The second thing you can see, that is targeting the Iran nuclear power. So you can see this Stuxnet malware. So what is this? The malware called Stuxnet is mostly used to target the power grids. Okay, so this is one kind of attack which damages the Iran's nuclear power plant. Okay, so this was done by the jointly of US and Israel. Okay, so with the help of this malware, they have damaged all the Iran's nuclear plant. They have been they have cracked the nuclear plant, that is power grid. Entire operations put a collapse. So they have targeted the Iran nuclear plant and they were through the grid. Okay. So next example, the last one, Russia interfered in 2016 United States elections. So you might have heard of this news, that is Trump. So Trump is facing so much consequences that during the election campaign in the year 2016. So even the police officer did not hear Trump's voice during because of racism. So Russia had interfered in 2016 US election. Okay, so everyone believes that Trump has been got selected by the influence given by Russia. So Trump got the help from the Russia. So what had happened is that during the election campaign, what had happens is electronic campaign, that is especially Facebook. Okay, so there was two parties. One is Trump and Hillary Clinton. They were in a position to be elected. Okay, so what this Russia do is they have created many millions of fake accounts, fake Facebook accounts. Okay, so some intelligence also supported to do all such kinds of activities. Okay, so during this activity, lakhs and lakhs of fake account has been created, and it was a fake propaganda that projecting that Trump is going to win or Trump is the next winner. So all this was boosted the US people to cast the vote for Trump. It was happened. So after the elections, it was identified, and a lot of cases cases were now being going on. Okay. Next slide. So in the slide, we have seen some of the examples for the cyber war. Okay. So next, fourth importance for cyber security is regulations and laws. So regulations means so some protection laws and guidelines that need to be some how the organization or the company need to follow, that has been given by consider the European Union. They have given the regulation as GDPR. So every employee or every citizen should follow this GDPR regulation. So General Data Protection Regulation. Okay. So every organization should follow all these policies and standards. Okay, before they are, if they are going to be an entrepreneur or business, if they are going to start a business, anything else, organization need to be started means they have to follow some procedures, policies, regulations, and laws. So coming on to India. In India, IPC, that is Indian Penal Code, IPC, in their IPC 1860. Okay, so it was everyone has to follow this. Okay, so coming on to USA, they are following NIST, that is National Institute Science and Technology. Okay, then OWASP, that is it's an open project. So Open Web Application Security Project. Okay, so what this project is all about is what are the software vulnerabilities are there and what are the holes in the software. For example, Java, we can take Java, the framework's new vulnerabilities are being identified, and we have to look on this vulnerabilities, and it has to be listed in the OWASP project. And having a look over this, we can go for future projects. Okay, the next one is, all might have known this, ISO, that is set of standards and policies that should be maintained or followed for the cyber security. So it is mandatory to follow and apply the regulations. Okay, regulations and laws to provide services to the users. That's the main important thing considering the cyber security. Okay, next slide. So the next one is security terminology. We are going to see the terminology related to the cyber security. So firewall, intrusion detection, access control, authentication, non-repudiation. Okay, first we'll see firewall. So Firewall is nothing but a security tool. Okay, so every organization or every PC, that is personal computer, firewall is mandatory thing. It should be uh, inbuilt, or any nowadays this operating system or Windows or anything else, it's inbuilt. The firewall is inbuilt. Okay, so what this firewall will do, it will filter your network. That is, it will goes on monitoring the network flow. There is incoming packets and outgoing packets will be monitored by the firewall, and it will that is, we call that as a inbound and outbound traffic. Inbound traffic means what are the packets coming inside the network, and outbound traffic means what are the packets going outside the network. Okay, so what this firewall will do is it will monitor the network traffic. In and out traffic will be monitored, and the traffic will be based on some rules. So based on the rules, the firewall will go on block that particular packets entering into it, or it will go on allowing the particular packets entering into the networks. So all these will be done, blocking and allowing, and the packets will be done by the firewall based on the rules set up by the organization. Okay, so consider Facebook networks. So if the organization is want to avoid the Facebook usage, then they will set some rules. Okay, so based on the rules, the firewall will will block the particular Facebook networks. That Facebook network alone will be blocked. Okay. So next, coming on to intrusion detection. So what is meant by intrusion? You might have heard intruder. So intruder means somebody trying to penetrate into your system. So what their main motive is to steal your data, steal your personal identity. Okay, they will get into your system, and whatever the things, your resources you are preserving, all will be stealed. That person is called as intruder. Okay, so the main motive is that intrusion has to be identified and blocked. It has to be identified in the sense it has to be detected and blocked. Okay, so main thing, coming on to intrusion detection, monitoring the behavior of the users and the behavior of the networks. So what is meant by anomaly? So anomaly is such kind of extraordinary behavior, or we can say it as not a normal behavior. Example, we can take for anomaly behavior is trying for the password. So if you forget your password, if someone is going to trying to find out your password, they'll be going on trying for 10 times or more than 10 times. So easily they can understand, we can understand that someone is going to access your account. Okay, that is called as anomaly behavior. So trying for the password more than 10 times or anything else, such kind of activity is called as anomaly behavior. Their usage. Okay, that should be detected or monitored and detected, and it should be blocked. Okay. So next comes the access control. So access control means, for example, you can say it, mobile can also have the access control. For example, you can set the passwords or any patterns to access your mobile things, mobile accessories. Okay, so you can also set go for setting the access control for the apps also. Okay, so there should be limited access to the resources. That is called as access control. So, okay, access means allocating. So what is allocated? That is, who is going to have the control. So which is going to have the control over some accessing part or allocated. That is called as access control. For example, if you take the mobile, your mobile can be accessed by whom, or you can have the passwords to enter or patterns that and all. You can share your password to some people so that they can also, they only that people alone can access your mobile accessories. Okay. So today everyone is doing access control in mobile itself. Okay. So coming on to the authentication, it's nothing but all about your user providing the username and the password. That is your credentials. That is called as authentication. So the last thing in security terminology is non-repudiation. So what is non-repudiation? That is, it should be maintained. It should be means the resources should be maintained and made it available all the time for the same authenticity. That is called non-repudiation. If it is authentication, it should be made available and it should not be violated. Take for an example, I should always try to access the using some credentials, some our username and password to particular area. Okay, so if it is not allowed, what it means, authenticity should be equal. Okay, so what is non-repudiation will mean is that even if you have the signature pairs, they should be maintained. Users signatures signature pair, they should be maintained. So a signature pair will not be changed. So public key and private key pair, they will be binding between these two pairs is going to be called as non-repudiation. If the signature is violated, then that should be allowed. And it should be because if I am having the private key to access some particular things, means with that key I can access the particular resources at any time. Okay, it is not violating, that is not to access that particular area. Okay, so in other words, we can say non-repudiation as recording the activities of the users. That we call it as a non-repudiation. For example, best example we can take CCTV. Okay, so CCTV will be recording the footprints of every activities that is being happening. Okay, so for example, if somebody say I have not done this activity, CCTV camera will show even if he refuses something, it clearly shows everything. It becomes visible to everyone. So CCTV will be providing the footprints for a particular activity. So no one is having no other thought on this. Okay. That is called CCTV is best example for non-repudiation. So far we have seen some of the terminologies related to security. So next comes hacking terminology. Next slide. Okay. So already we have seen this. There are three types of hackers. We can classify the hackers as three types. So one is white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and black hat hackers. So this white hat hackers are also known as ethical hackers. So what do you mean by ethical hackers? So they are the person or ethical hacker with permission, they'll be doing some activities. Okay, so this ethical hacker will be appointed by the organization or consultant, any consultant or any security consultant. So with the permission, the ethical hacker will do penetrating into the organization network, and they'll be going on finding the vulnerabilities or any flaws occur in the organization's networks, and they'll be notifying the organization to fix that particular vulnerabilities. So he has given rights, that is ethical hacker has given rights to penetrate into the organization networks, and they'll go for just examining the networks, and they have to audit and give the report whatever the holes or vulnerabilities in the networks. Okay. So they are always need to preserve the organization and penetrate with the permission. Main thing, they will penetrate or do all kinds of activities with the permission of the organization. Okay, they are called as ethical hackers. They will find the vulnerabilities and flaws and notify the organization to fix all these vulnerabilities. So for ethical purpose, they will go on penetrating and checking it for the flaws. Okay, so then comes the grey hat hackers. So actually, grey hat hackers are not making or not giving damages to the systems. So that's the main point to be noted, that they are doing illegal things and unethical things without permission of the organization. The thing is that they will go on intruding or they will go on penetrating and checking the data of the organization. But the intention of the hacker is not for their gains. So that is important. They want to be challenged themselves. They will do all such kinds of activities for the purpose of challenging, or they want to be identified themselves. Okay, so most of the grey hat hackers will inform the flaws to the own organization itself. Okay, so for example, enthusiastically the Google server, so they will identify some these hackers, these types of grey hat hackers will go on checking or identify some flaws and notify the flaws and vulnerabilities to the Google server, to the Google itself. Even Google had rewarded money to the some particular hackers also. So they are called as grey hat hackers. So the main thing to be noted is they will not harm the systems. Okay, so they will interfere or they will penetrate into the system without permission. So white hat hackers will do all such kinds, penetrating into the systems with the permission of the organization. So grey hat hackers will do all such penetration into the computer system of the organization without the permission. Okay. Okay, so coming on to the black hat hackers, mostly they are called as bad people. Usually they will break our security and cause damage to the organization or personal data. So through that they are going to get money out of it. That's the main motive for them. Okay, so they will break the security and cause damage for their own gains. Okay, for a main good example, we can take it as a ransomware attack, which you have seen in the previous slide. Okay, so through the ransomware attack, the hackers earned millions of money from this attack. So for their gains, they are doing some attacks and gaining some money. They are called as black hat hackers. Okay, so actually we call this kind of actual people, they are called as hackers. So their main intention is to steal their identity and gain access and do some malfunctions and damage. Okay. So two things to be focusing for the black hat hackers, that is they will do all such kinds of illegal things for money purpose. They are doing all these for money purpose, for gaining themselves. Okay. Second thing, they want to show their power. Black hat hackers want to show their power or their knowledge, or they can take it as a revenge also against any particular organization. They are called as black hat hackers. Okay, next slide. Okay, so next we can see what are the defense approaches for network security. There are two main approaches over there. Next slide. First approach is perimeter security approach, and the second one is layer security approach. Next slide. Okay, so these are the two approaches. Um, One is perimeter security approach and layer security approach. So coming on to the perimeter security approach. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So we'll see perimeter security approach. So what is meant by perimeter? So perimeter is all dealing with boundary, or we can say it is circle. Okay. So the defense on the network security, network perimeter or boundary layer. Okay, defense on the network security on the perimeter layer. Okay, so where the boundary has been defined, the boundary is defined as the boundary between the first area, that is nothing but the privately managed and owned side of the network. So you can consider that your network asset, that is your private asset, it may be managed and owned. For example, your private asset means your routers, your devices, your network devices, switches, cables, access points, computers, desktops, laptops, mobile devices, that is owned by the organization. That is called as private asset. Okay, so this is called as one side. Okay, that is private asset. So coming on to the another side, that is called public side of the network. That is called internet or WAN. That is outside of the organization. For example, you can take it as a ISP, that is internet service provider. So outside networks means you can take it as other various vendors, suppliers. So all these are called as outside. They're all outside of your network, outside of you. There is going to be called as a public side of the network. Okay, so what is perimeter security approach is that there is a boundary between your network and the public network, or we can say it is another words, that is line between these two, private side of the network and the public side of the network, that is called as perimeter. Okay, excuse me. Shanmuraj? Shanmuraj? Sir, slide earlier. It's not visible. It's not visible. Appiya, I couldn't see. Okay, okay, sir. No, okay, no problem. I will manage. Okay, so regarding perimeter, you can go on to the diagram of this perimeter security approach. Is it visible now?
Ma'am, visible.
Okay. So, students, you can view this picture. That is, old perimeter is referring all your traditional networks, what you are maintaining. There is endpoints. So, endpoints means end devices. So, your devices, that is laptop, server, mobiles, on-site access, apps, database servers, application servers. All these are called as old perimeter. Okay, so that was traditional perimeter approach. So now the thing is that the perimeter approach has been expanded today. That was the new approach. Okay, so okay. Okay, the perimeter security measures include stateful firewalls, antivirus and anti-malwares, virtual private networks, access point security, security information event management. Okay, stateful firewalls means stateful means with the help of the, so how it is achieved. So because it is monitoring from the beginning to the end, that is called as stateful firewalls. So coming on to antivirus, anti-malwares, it is being installed in your PCs and servers so that the communication is possible in a secured manner. And coming on to virtual private networks, the security is being forced through the tunneling process. Okay, so already we have seen how the transmission is carried out in the virtual private network. So through tunneling, the transmission is going on, okay, through the private network. So coming on to the access point security, your wireless access points. If you take the Wi-Fi zone, it is achieved with the help of the access points. How does access point is secured? We have to take care of these access points. So the last thing is security information event management. So whatever the information you are handling within the organization, that should be managed very efficiently. Okay. So you can see this in this picture, remote employees, cloud applications, mobile devices, vendors and contractors, personal devices, hybrid clouds. Okay, so all these are being expanded with that of the traditional perimeter. Okay. Okay, remote employees means every employees are working remotely. So nowadays in this pandemic situation, so every employee of any organization is working from home. Okay, so even we are all combined together remotely. Yes, uh, and inside the organization. Okay, that is called as network boundary, which is called as perimeter approach. Okay, so moving on to the next layered approach. Next slide. Next slide. Layered security approach. Whether it is moved to next slide. Okay, fine. I hope so. I'm not able to see that. Okay, fine. So layered security approach is going to be following some 7 layers. The first layer is going to be policies, procedures and awareness. Second layer is physical. Third layer is perimeter layer. And the fourth layer is network layer. And fifth layer is host layer. And sixth layer is application. And the final layer is data layer. Okay, so these are all 7 layers of so each and every layer some security has to be maintained or provided. This approach is called as layered security approach. So totally there are 7 layers, so that security has been imposed on all these 7 layers. So in all the 7 layers, security is being imposed from the first layer to the till the last 7th layer. So each and every layer security is imposed. And security alert has been also increasing layer wise. Each and every layer there is a security alert also. Okay, so each and every layer security is provided. That is going to be called as layered security approach. Okay, so let me see the first one, first layer, that is policies, procedures and awareness. Next slide please. Okay, so this was the first layer, policies, procedures and awareness layer. So the thing is that how to train your employees, how you are providing knowledge to the employees. So employees are nothing but the users of your organization, like they may be guest users also will be there. Then for example, they can be customers, vendors, suppliers, or else partners will be there. So how they are going to access your organization data. So you should clearly, the organization should clearly set up the policies. They should be given some policies, data, and they should be provided with some knowledge. So how the data needed to be handled, either It may be a private data, or it may be a personal data, or it may be a organization data. So all these they should be how they should be handled with the all such kinds of data. So the employee should be get trained. Okay, so training and certification for employees, vendors, guests, and users all should be provided. Okay, so coming on to policies, the incident detection, response response to the particular incident, and data handling and vulnerability management. So for all these such kinds of things, policies should be followed. Okay, so incident detection, take for an example fire detection or data theft. If any incident is detected, how it should be responded. So we have to define some precautions, some actions to be followed for managing the vulnerability. For example, if someone is taking your data through your data or your resources through pen drive, so this incident has happened. So what the response is going to be taken? So how data is handled? So mostly regulation policies has been given. So in the previous slides, we have seen importance for cyber security. So for the European Union, GDPR has to be followed. NIST should be followed by USA. So likewise, every organization should define their own policies and regulations. So that with that policies, they can go for defending their own personal datas to recover. Okay. And coming on to the next thing is cleanup procedures, disastrous recovery plans. So what do you mean by cleanup? So how periodically you are going to take up the backups from the server. So how many days you need to clean up all these histories and all the data what you have within your system. Okay, that periodically backupping, taking all the backups, that is called as disastrous recovery plans. So you have to, the thing is that how critical data has to be classified from your transactional data. So what priority is given to the transaction data to the higher priority data. So how frequently you are taking up the backups and how fast you are getting recovered from the disastrous. Okay. So if the server is getting crashed, how fast you are recovering from the crash. So what plan you are having for that. So all these are called as cleanup procedures. So what procedure you have for that particular recovery process. So cleanup means it is removing all the unnecessary things. For example, if the transactional data need to be removed after 1 year, but some critical data need to be preserved for so many long years. Okay, that is all we call that as procedures, policies, and awareness layer. So moving on to the next layer, that is physical layer. Next slide. Moving on to the physical layer, your building and your infrastructure. It's concerning all with your building or in your infrastructure. So how the physical layer has been controlled. So physically you want, if you want to allow the people to enter into, you won't allow the people to enter into the IT infrastructure. So there will be some restriction to visit the IT infrastructures physically. Suppose if it is open, anyone can go or anyone can enter and access the server room, means it is also a main vulnerability. So you should not allow every person or all person to access the server room. So wherever critical things are maintained or things are placed, we have to protect them. So keeping unauthorized person away from the IT property, even a desktop. Suppose if any visitors are and accessing the employee's mission, the policy will not allow. We will have to maintain the some strict policies even for the physical layer. Okay. So how you protect, or how you go for, it's all about locks and guards your property and protecting the CCTV cameras and alerts. CCTV camera, you can go and fix it, how much you are recording all the physical visibilities. The thing is can be possible with the CCTV cameras and alarms. If you anything goes wrong, what alarm is going to, you are going to fix it. Okay, so if anybody trying to open the server room, the alarms can make for it. Some critical thing has happened, the alarm will notify it. So the thing is that there should be a 360-degree perimeter line of sight that should be visible from any place. The place should be visible from anywhere, especially the where the critical resources are residing it. The place where you are choosing is also very important to keep the critical things, or especially the valuable things. Okay. So who are coming inside, who are coming going outside, all should be visible. So there should be a limited and controlled entry points for the staff members and the visitors. If you are taking any big organizations or hospitals, they will not allow every visitors to visit for all the time. There should be a limiting for limited visitors time also. Okay, so this all about the physical layer. Move on to the next slide. The next layer is the perimeter layer. So already we have seen perimeter layer. Perimeter layer means it's all about a boundary. You are defining a boundary. That is the boundary or the layer between the privately owned and the public owned. So what happens at the border? That is all about the perimeter layer. Okay. Next comes the network layer. So network layer, all it relies on the automated policy-driven traffic managements. Okay, and it also recognizes the traffic anomalies and block also. And there will be a redirecting the problematic traffic also, ensuring that bandwidth is also available for mission critical applications. Okay, and what is IDS, that is intrusion detection system, is used at this network layer. IPS, intrusion protocol, IPS, that is internet service providers. So all these will work at the network layer, and vulnerability assessment will also be done. What is NAC? That is network access control, and NAP means network access protocol. So these are all the mechanism imposing on the network layer to closely monitor what traffic is coming inside and going outside. So we have to ensure or keep the bandwidth available for the mission critical applications. For example, if you take as an example, if many users are using the Facebook, suppose if the organization is using the SAP, that is a SAP, that is a ERP software. So if you are giving if the organization is giving importance to the ERP application, not for the Facebook, then many users many employers using the Facebook can be banned, or they can be comes to limited. So some YouTube users or Facebook access, these all can be limited. Okay. Coming on to the next layer, next slide. Next layer is host layer. So host layer means host machines. That is servers, desktop switches, routers, access points. So these are all the devices that can be acted upon the host layers. So for using all these such kinds of electronic devices, some antivirus or personal firewalls are being provided with that. Voice hardening, update management, and authentications were all provided at this host layer. Coming on to the next application layer, some source code analysis and input validation should be carried out at this application layer, and vulnerability scanning process is also done at this application layer. Coming on to the last layer, that is data layer, some policies should be maintained. So who can access the data? That should be restricted. Okay, some passwords should be assigned. Authorized person only can access the data, and with the help of the whatever the data having residing at any organization, that should be encrypted using some encryption algorithms. Okay, so that's all. We have come to the closing of this today's session. Okay.